And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Sunday, March 16th, 2025. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I give you in this YouTube video, you can go to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's online presence. It brings you to a web page with a map of the continental U.S., Hawaii, Alaska to the lower left, and tabs for the territory. And if you point and click anywhere on this map, it'll give you a very specific forecast, including any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories for any location in the nation. And of note, on this Sunday afternoon, earlier today, there were tornado watches down along areas of the East Coast all the way up into Pennsylvania and south into Florida. Those have largely expired due to the fact that that weather system has pushed off to the east out over either the Atlantic, or we've lost the instability of the daytime heating, so at least the atmosphere has stabilized. But what a weekend. We had numerous tornado reports, especially from Missouri, Arkansas, down into the deep south, including Alabama and Mississippi, with at least 34 weather-related fatalities since Friday, and that includes fires and wildfires in Texas, Oklahoma, dust storms, all kinds of things. And now we have windy conditions again on the east side of the Rockies up into the southern central plains that are increasing the risk of wildfires, so those are red flag warnings. But here in Alaska, breezy weather continues across parts of the Brooks Range, Lisburne Peninsula, and that'll be the case as we have a high pressure sitting up in the Arctic Ocean. And then further south, we have some areas of low pressure that will be moving through the Gulf. Nothing especially strong, but it will keep periods of rain and snow along the Gulf Coast into areas of the Panhandle and even up inland in the south central at times as we go through the week. We could see a period of accumulating snow over the western Alaska Range, western Susitna Valley as we go into Monday night, Tuesday into early Wednesday. And then later this week on Thursday is the spring equinox. Occurs March 20th at 1:01 a.m. Alaska Daylight Time. Quick check of some of the FAA webcams on this Sunday afternoon. Point Hope, clear sunny sky, 2 degrees above zero. Not quite the wind there. Arctic Village, clear sky, 1 above Arctic Village, as well as Anatuvik Pass had the state's low temperature this morning of 24 below zero. Out in the western Susitna Valley, Cowen, partly sunny, 28 degrees. You look to the mountains there, the Alaska Range to the west. This area through here and up to the Alaska Range will be picking up some snow, especially Monday night through Tuesday into early Wednesday. And then Yakutat, northeastern Gulf Coast, will see increasing cloud cover. This is a view looking southeast. You can see a halo that's caused by the ice crystals in those cirrus clouds. The sun's located off to the upper left of your screen, but these are increasing clouds ahead of a trough or frontal system that's going to bring snow there tonight into especially Monday morning. Yakutat area under a winter weather advisory here along the northeastern Gulf Coast for 3 to 5 inches of snow later this Sunday evening through 4 p.m. Monday afternoon. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, the other thing I want to remind you about, I mentioned before, so the Alaska Division of Forestry and Fire Protection Coastal Region Management there is saying now that you need to have small or large scale burning permits are required for anywhere here in southern Alaska due to the fact we had such a mild winter and low snowfall. Now we have had some snowfall in and around Anchorage and up in the areas of the Susitna Valley since the middle of last week. And we may see some additional accumulating snow, but nevertheless, this is in effect. This need for burn permits goes into effect on Monday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Also, we have Mount Spur, that it sits at advisory level. We're waiting to see if any additional activity gets things warranting a watch. But at this point, the United States Geologic Survey, Alaska's Volcano Observatory, continues to monitor Mount Spur, which is located about 70 miles west of Anchorage. And at this point, as I mentioned, the volcano has had some seismic activity and things. It's active but it's not doing anything yet that would warrant kicking it up to the next level, which would be a watch. So we're going to closely monitor what happens with Mount Spur over the next several weeks and months, because there is an increasing likelihood that there could be an eruption. It's always best to be prepared before something like that actually happens. And looking at the satellite imagery, well, we've had a system push into British Columbia, and we have some lingering showers back behind that. We also have a weak low that's located off the eastern Kenai coast outside of Hinchinbrook Entrance, this area here, and it's generating some snow and snow showers that'll pull up into the Yakutat area for tonight. That's why there is that winter weather advisory. We have an elongated area of low pressure and remnant frontal system that goes back here toward the Bering and then across the eastern Aleutians to another impulse of low pressure down in the North Pacific. And what's going to happen late tonight into Monday morning? First of all, we'll talk about this system off of the Kenai and outside of Prince William Sound. We have a weak low in the northwestern Gulf and along this boundary. That's going to enhance some snow along the northeastern Gulf Coast, including Yakutat, tonight into early Monday afternoon. Then we have this area of low pressure and another piece of energy back to north of the central Aleutians. And by the time we get into Monday afternoon, we have all that energy shifting eastward, southeast of the Alaska Peninsula. We have another impulse coming up from the North Pacific with moisture, so that's all going to ride northward along this frontal boundary. So we'll see an expansion of some snow along the eastern Kenai and up here into the Susitna Valley late Monday night, especially Tuesday. And then eventually it'll come all the way upward into parts of the middle Yukon River as we go through Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday. So Tuesday afternoon we find that low sitting there just south of Kodiak Island, and then this other impulse that's pulling back off toward the north and west, and then another similar type low to the one we had several days ago working its way through the lower Bering with a low pressure there out toward the western Aleutians with an occluded front arcing ahead of it. And then on Wednesday afternoon, we have a low pressure there in the Gulf. Seasonably, it's not really that deep, 983, but it's enough there in this boundary that is pushing up into the lower 48 Pacific Northwest coast up along the British Columbia coast with some rain or rain showers. And as you get up to the coastal mountains, it's snow. And then back here we find that energy that I showed you earlier crossing the western central Aleutians now re-emerging across the eastern Aleutians to just south of the Alaska Peninsula. And that's going to keep the areas along the Gulf Coast with more active weather. Some periods of rain at sea level and lower elevations to snow in the especially coastal mountains. So temperatures are going to be quite cold again tonight. Up there along the Brooks Range North Slope, coldest readings around Anatuvik and Anatuvik Pass and Arctic Village could be back down around or even a few degrees colder than 25 below. And we even see some readings down near or below zero into the lower Yukon and certainly upper Kuskokwim basins. Temperatures across even the Panhandle will get below freezing at most locations. Any partial clearing easily drops temperatures into the teens across areas of South Central with 5 above there at Gulkana. Monday afternoon highs will stay below zero across the North Slope and along the Arctic coast. And as we drop down toward the south, even below freezing now up through Talkeetna and including the Anchorage Bowl. Readings could squeak out lower 40s, Ketchikan, Metlakatla over towards Sitka, maybe up near 40 at Kodiak City. And then again, another cold morning. Tuesday morning, we're looking at lows where skies are clear up here in the northern half of the mainland. Again, back down around 25 to locally near 30 below in some spots there of the Brooks Range and toward the upper or east side of the Brooks Range, upper Yukon flats, and then areas along the Arctic coast, even in the vicinity of 20-25 below zero there. New Exit, Dead Horse on over toward Kaktovik, even 17 degrees there at St. Paul and 6 below at Savunga on the north side there of St. Lawrence Island. Temperatures Tuesday afternoon remain below zero across a good portion of the North Slope and Arctic coast. As we drop down toward the Yukon River, readings generally getting back up near 10 degrees. And then as we get a little further south, we may get temperatures back up a little bit above freezing, including Anchorage on up toward Talkeetna, as well as in the Copper River around Glen Ellen and Golconda. We are looking for highs for the southern outer portion of the Panhandle, back up maybe to about 45 at Craig and Klawock, and then readings around 40, 41 there at Homer down through Kodiak City, and still below freezing out there at St. Paul at 28 degrees. And here's the temperature outlook here coming up for March 22nd through the 26th. So as I mentioned, the spring equinox occurs on Thursday, March 20th. So this would be for next weekend into the following week to close out the last week there of March. And it's looking like temperatures are going to average above normal over the southeast mainland, particularly in through the region around McCarthy, Wrangell, St. Elias Mountains into the northern Panhandle, with a pretty good likelihood of below normal temperatures, at least a bit below normal, especially along the west coast, all the way from the YK deltas up through the Seward Peninsula, Lisburn Peninsulas, extending up there through the Bering Strait and along the Chukchi Sea coast. Precipitation-wise, again, for next weekend into the following week to close out that last week of March, precipitation may average a bit above normal, generally across the Panhandle, and perhaps up here in areas of the western Brooks Range, Lisburn Peninsula along the Chukchi Sea coast. Would simply be indicative of some weather systems coming in from the southwest and doing that. But this region here of the Panhandle, well, just because we're going to have some of these lows come in with fronts that'll occasionally bring some moisture in along the Gulf Coast, and especially areas of the Panhandle here again around and after March 22nd.